Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode for the Coaching Conversations podcast. Now, we are on Stitcher, we are on iTunes, and multiple different channels. Please check us out. Now, one of the things that you'll get out of our podcast episodes is a lot of content, a lot of strategy. It's not fluff, it's not concept, yet we really want you to engage with the content and let us know your feedback. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. If there's topics you'd love to have us address, we would love to share them with you. Let us know your impact and let us know your feedback. When we develop ourselves and we develop other people, one of the forgotten arts, if you will, is journaling. I have become a huge journaling advocate, probably for the last 20 plus years. Often I will just go to a coffee shop, and I'm not even a coffee drinker, and I will literally just pull out a notebook and just write down ideas, observations, ideas for the companies, messages I want to send to clients, whatever the case might be. And journaling does three major things that I think are really important. Number one, it gets us to slow down and think and reflect. Number two, it actually facilitates reflection. I don't think anyone can argue that when we reflect, we typically have better clarity, better thought process, better concise thoughts, better concise, clear communication versus just thinking right away in the moment. And then third, one of the things that journaling does is it reminds us. Just that. It reminds us of the good things and the things that we need to address. Often when we're in the throe of things and we're running hard, we don't say to ourselves, I'm really stressed out. I got to slow down and journal. So schedule time for yourself to journal. Let me give you one of the best successes as it relates to journaling. I read this book, The Progress Principle by Teresa Amable, and she talks about how journaling was a way of her capturing data and how she found out that progress was the most motivated thing for 76% of the people in her study. So 76% of the people in her study said, I'm at my most motivated state when I'm progressing in my job. It was not reward, recognition, or money. So here's the funny thing. She got that data from journaling. She then found out that it actually lowered people's stress. And I might get this number wrong, but I think it was up to 23%. I have found the same thing. So one of the other things that journaling does is it helps us observe and capture things. When you combine observation with journaling, it is powerful. Let me give you the case study. There was a young lady at our bank that I would say was shy, and she was a teller. And one day I was waiting for our banker to come out, and we do our business banking with them as well, even though they were a client. And he said, well, let's go back to my office. I said, can we sit here for a few minutes? He said, sure, what's going on? I said, watch. He said, what? I go, watch. Everybody goes by the first two tellers, and they go to Ashley on the end. Every time. And he looked, a couple people came in, happened every single time. And he said, wow, I've never noticed that before. I said, every time I come in, she's got my accounts pulled up. She knows my kids' names. She's fantastic. Now, if Ashley was listening to this, and she might be, she would tell you she's an introvert by trade. She is. And I asked her one day, sitting in her cubicle station, and I said, what's your goal? What do you want? Now, I'm going to share this, not a great thing to share, but she said, I really want to go into leadership. I would never have assumed that. I would have assumed the opposite. And boy, that's the power of asking people questions. So when she was telling me, and I said, well, do you have an academy here or, some type of thing that you can get into? She said, we do. We have a leadership program. And I said, well, I think that's awesome. I said, I think you'll do great. So all of a sudden, I told that to the bank president or the person we were doing our banking with at the time. And he said, wow, I would never have known she wanted to do that. Here's the moral of the story. Nobody asked her. She was so good as a teller. Well, that's one less thing I got to worry about. When you have high performing talent and you're not observing, you are missing out on an opportunity. And sooner or later, you might be missing that person. The next thing is when you take the time to just casually sit, give yourself a break as a leader, and observe and journal other people. You will own it more. You have a repository of things you can now go inspire, motivate, coach, mentor, lead, manage, whatever you want to call it. And that's the opportunity. We all too often are so busy with our heads down doing our jobs, we forget to look up and say, who's doing a great job? And then just simply make a note of it. Embed journaling into your leadership practice. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.